Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to kind of start this process of making a car. You can tell my car is not finished yet, and yours probably won't be after the first few videos this week. This is going to be a 2-week assignment, so I'll have some videos this week, and then I'll have some more detailed videos next week. And what we'll do is just submit your car in 2 parts. The first part is going to be kind of this basic part without any windows or wheels or any real detail on it, just kind of the shell of the car. And then next week what we'll do is we'll go in and actually start adding detail. So before we start, what you should do is you should go and find the blueprints of the car that you want. I've chosen a Ford Explorer because it was the first one on the page, and I just chose to run with it. So what we're going to do is once you bring in all of your image planes, and you should know how to do that at this point. If you have trouble with it, you can email me or reference some of the earlier videos on the image planes. And what we're going to do is just bring in the image planes, and we're going to start modeling off of the image planes. So the first thing I usually like to do, I come in and I get my images set up. So the front of the car is lined up with this cross line here, and the middle of the car is right down the middle of this line on the top view. And then on the front view, the wheels are lined up with this bottom line and still in the center of the car. And then on the side view, the wheels are lined up with the bottom, and the front of the car runs in line with this. Probably what you'll have to do at the very beginning when you bring in your top view camera, your top view will probably be looking in kind of this direction, and you'll need to rotate it so that your car is actually kind of driving this way on the top view, and that'll allow you to be able to actually line up your shapes. So if I came in now and I put this box around it like we did before, then you can see it actually starts to follow the shape here of the actual car. So we can actually box in the car in all views this way, right? There's no way to box in the car if your top camera is rotated in this direction. It just can't be done. So make sure it's rotated the right way. So once we get that done, I lock my image planes, and I'm just going to go ahead and start on the side of the car. I almost always start on the side of the car just because it has a lot of detail in it, and it's just easy to kind of start on it. So I usually start with a plane, and I make sure my plane's a 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, and I rotate it -90 degrees so that it's looking at the camera in the side view. And you'll see here I have this really nice plane. First thing I want to do is just kind of get the plane just in shape here and line it up. There's a whole lot of different techniques you can go to different techniques you can take towards making a car. I'm going to show you one today, and it's the one that I use most of the time, and you can kind of use it or modify it a little bit. There's always extra stuff you can do or learn, but I can't teach you every single technique, so I'm just going to teach you one, and you can modify it off of that. So I've got this basic plane in here. Just like we did with the terrain, I want you to grab one edge, and you'll just extrude that one edge. Once we extrude it, we can come in and actually move the verts around however we need to, and then we can repeat that process. So I usually just extrude and then kind of move the verts around. So this is important to note. I'm going straight up on the front quarter panel of the car, going straight up all the way to the hood, and then I'm grabbing my side edge and I'm extruding it back. And what this does is this is just going to give me a little bit more detail to work with as I go through. And what I want to do is just follow all the way back here, and I'm trying to keep things in kind of shape of the side of the car. I'm going to pull straight back here, and then to get the rest of the the rest of the wheel well, I'm going to extrude down from here. And you can see right out of the gate that it's a really rough kind of outline of the car right now. I don't have a whole lot of details showing up. It's just kind of getting a really, like I said, rough outline. So I've got kind of the front quarter panel done as far as the rough outline goes. And I'm just going to start extruding back along the side of the car. So I'm going to extrude once to this front kind of door here. And I'm going to extrude a second time back towards the back of the car. Or the back wheel well, I guess. And I'm going to come in and do kind of the same thing on the back wheel well as I did on the front. And just always shaping everything to kind of fit. And what I'm doing is I'm just hitting F9 to switch to vertex mode every time I do an extrusion, and then I'm moving the verts exactly where they need to be. And this is actually how most modeling is done. Most modeling is done just simply by creating the verts that you need and then modifying them so that you end up with the shapes that you can actually work with. So I'm going to extrude again and come all the way to the back of the car and move the verts and then extrude down. So here I've got an extremely rough outline of kind of the side of the car. And if you look at it in the perspective view, you'll see it's a flat side of a car, right? But you'll notice if you select that and come into the front view, it's kind of hard to see, but if I get rid of the image plane, you can see the actual line here that represents the side of our plane. What I'm going to do is go into vertex selection mode, and with the image plane turned on, I'm just going to grab each vert and kind of pull it over to where it falls in line with where it looks like it should be on the car. So you can see these verts up here need to be pulled in to kind of line up with the side of the car. And this doesn't make a whole lot of sense visually because there's so many edges overlapping. But you just want to make sure that every single vert that you move kind of goes in line with the contour of the car. And it's really a rough estimate because you don't have enough verts to really create the shape that you need. But once you get it close, you'll notice if you come here into the perspective view again, you start to get a little bit of a contour on the car, which is pretty much all we want right now. We want it to line up in the top view, and you can see it kind of lines up in the top view. It's a little bit, needs to be pushed out just a little in the top view to make it line up here. And then it lines up in the front view, and we use the side view to make the main view, or the main shape, so that actually works out also. So that's basically the gist of creating the side of the car really quickly. What I want to do after that is come in and I want to repeat that process kind of for the hood of the car. And I just need to move some of these verts over. I think I'm going to end up coming in and actually put in an extra edge loop here just to kind of create the outline of the front of the hood. So insert edge loop, and I'm just going to insert one right here. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow me to kind of create this front curvature of the car, because the car kind of curves around the headlights, and we're just going to kind of simulate that here. So that looks okay. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to repeat the process for the hood. So I'm going to come into the top view and I'm just going to model kind of a generic shape for the hood. And I'm going to create a plane, same as I did before. I'm going to model half of the hood right now, because I don't think there's any real reason to model the whole car because we're just going to duplicate it. But I'm going to extrude this edge out. And again, it's following the process that we did for the terrain. We're just extruding edges and putting them into the place where we think they need to go. So I've got those four, and now I'm going to extrude and pull them down pretty much all the way to the front of the car. Now what that's going to allow me to do is just start to work on the hood. And you'll notice here again in the front view, we've just got a solid plane. What I like to do is just kind of tilt it forward. And once I do that, that kind of gives me the edges to work with. I can see them, and most hoods are kind of contoured so that they're raised in the front, or raised in the middle, and then kind of pulled down on the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and create kind of that generic shape. And then in the top view, what I want is I'm going to have to connect the hood to the side of the car. So I'm going to turn wireframe on shaded on, and I'm going to make sure I have enough edge loops here on the top of my hood to line up with kind of the side of my car. And hopefully this should be good, and that's pretty much where I'm going to stop this first video. The next video will start with attaching the hood and then creating kind of the top of the car. And I might need a third video to create the front and the sides and the windows. And that'll probably be all for this week. So right now, what we've got is just the side of the car, kind of a rough outline, and the hood of the car, kind of a rough outline. And that's where we're stopping.